Got to look at each of his respective cameras. Hi, welcome, we're live. And if you haven't already figured out, we're going to talk about WandaVision today. So like, share, and subscribe to the channel and all that jazz. But honestly, let's just get into it because that was an interesting episode to say the least.
Interesting, exciting, unexpected.
Yes, these are adjectives.
Full of way more information than a 40-minute episode should ever have. It was hard to keep up with it. It's like, it definitely needs... So, just to let you know, he's watched it twice. I've literally just finished watching it. So, my mind's still got its creative juices flowing and processing the episode, but I'm definitely going to have to go watch it again. But
we just finished watching it.
Yeah, you watched it. So, overall thoughts for me, loved it. And again, as I said, tons to unwrap. It was... I won't say it was slow to start, but there was a part at the beginning that was very jarring for me and I couldn't quite work it out, and then later on it made sense. But as the flow went and we got the bit in the middle, which was very unexpected towards the end.
My favourite bit?
Yeah, your favourite bit. I will just say I loved it. So that was generally my thought. I thought it did a lot to progress the plot of whatever WandaVision is, because I still haven't worked out what the show is all about or what's the point of it. It's my general thought on it is it's a genius piece of creative use to turn what's happened with Marvel behind getting Fox back, the IPs from Fox back, and they're now using this as their tool to massage things nicely. Is what I thought WandaVision was going to be, and it's kind of looking like that anyway. So just spoiler free there. That's exactly what I thought of it. Really enjoyed it. Lots of information and lots of wow, didn't expect that.
So for me, now I really enjoyed it as well. It's my favourite episode so far, but that's not saying a lot because we haven't done any live discussions yet. This is our first one, and we're 5 episodes in.
Yeah,
I just want to make it clear that the show's a little weird to me, and I think that's intentional, right? It's supposed to be a little psychedelic and trippy, like you don't know what's going on, messing with your reality. So for me, this one this was my favorite because it felt like I was watching a Marvel Cinematic Universe movie. It really felt like that. Well, it was the first time we had both the events going on outside the Hex and the events going on inside happening concurrently.
Well,
whereas to that
episodes.
point, I don't know. I'll have to look it up. I mean, you can look it up right there.
Because we said it was probably...
It doesn't say. On the Wikipedia episode guide, it only shows 5 episodes. It hasn't updated yet.
Because we thought it'd probably be a 10-episode thing, and it's a 10-episode movie. It's an 8-hour movie.
Yeah, it's worth pointing out this was also the longest episode yet.
Yeah.
The runtime on Disney Plus officially was just over 40 minutes, but with titles credits probably about 35. Yeah, but anyway, so back to my overall thoughts. So like, I really enjoyed this one because it felt like a Marvel Cinematic Universe film. So it's the first one I've watched twice, and I could watch it again. So it's got rewatchability, which I think maybe the first 3 episodes probably don't.
The first few episodes had a very like Twin Peaks feel about them,
yeah,
like
trippy psychedelic,
and a bit weird, but now we're getting more of the.
You can watch Twin Peaks again, though. I feel the first 3 episodes, now that it's starting, all the revelations are starting to come out, those first 3 episodes might be a little bit boring. That's probably why they were so short. It wouldn't surprise me if moving on now we're going to have more 40-minute episodes.
Longer. But then again, though, I have seen other YouTube creators delve way deeply into the first few episodes and find Easter eggs and stuff that I've missed. Because I like to just sit and watch and take it in. I'm not the kind of guy to then go back and scrutinize every frame and let other people do that and then watch what they post. But yeah,
I'm getting better at that.
Yeah,
there's so many things that I noticed, especially on the second watching, like when I was spoilers.
No, we're not going spoilers yet.
Okay. Well, I still haven't really gotten over my overall thoughts. Like, I think that realistically, that is the only way I can explain it. That it finally felt like an actual good piece of television. But that's harsh because I'm not saying the first 4 episodes were terrible, but they were just like filler. I hate saying that.
So. I don't think they were filler. What I think they were like was they were more like a prologue to a movie.
Kind of.
And now we're getting into the movie part of the movie.
Yeah, I was really enjoying this episode. The unexpected bit in the middle, my favorite bit, was where I actually don't usually get chills with the Marvel Cinematic Universe because it's not the. I don't have that kind of connection. Lord of the Rings, I get chills because it's such an important thing to me. Star Wars, I can get chills in certain moments. Marvel, I only get chills in select moments of Marvel films. I don't get it that often, that frequently, because Marvel to me wasn't a huge thing. Except for, oddly enough, the X-Men. So it happens in the middle. I'm like, there's the character that I remember from the comics. And so, like, that's why I love that bit so much.
Okay, so just give us your final thoughts on it, and then we'll go into spoilers.
Pull OBS up real quick.
Yeah.
Just want to make sure that the stream's healthy.
Right. Yeah,
I'm reviewing the chat here, and it looks like garbage, but that's because we're on the internet. Yeah, see, YouTube's not receiving enough video, and I had a hunch.
All right, let's quickly have a look.
I might have to turn this off.
Are you listening to it?
Yeah, it sounds fine. Could you make sure everything's closed on your computer that you don't need up to? That's probably going to help a little bit. But so anyway, I'll continue. Where was I?
You're just going to give us your final thoughts before we go into spoilers.
Well, okay. So the ending is something I want us to make sure we talk about in depth, but later on. So I don't want to get too much into that either. But it does kind of have a I finished watching this episode with a weird, uncomfortable feeling, and that's probably one of the reasons why I wanted to watch it a second time round. Watching it second time round, I'm still a little bit there, but having watched it with someone else now, I'm a little bit more forgiving of what happened. But we'll get into that when we talk about spoilers. So really, really liked that episode because it felt like an MCU movie.
Yes, definitely did feel like the first act of an MCU movie. I will give you that.
No, the middle act.
Yeah, first to middle. Like the crossover from where the setup now starts getting into the meat and potatoes of the the meat and potatoes of the
excuse me
of the story. Okay, so
stream status poor.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, that's what happens when you live out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, but it wasn't happening to us when we were reviewing The Expanse the other night.
Yeah, but remember we did it at a different time. We're actually at high upload.
And we are live.
Yep. All right.
It's not like we're not live.
To give you all fair warning, now we're going to get into spoilers. I'll let you take us away from doing what we thought of everything, the in-depth breakdown.
Drop the bit rate a bit. Shit. So, spoilers. We start out. Obviously, we're going to go and recap the stuff that happens with Monica later on in the episode. But we start out, we're back in the Hex, as it were now, which is the name that's given to the area that Wanda is pretty much taking control of, Westview. And we are back into the whole sitcom situation that we're familiar with from episodes 1 through 3. And this time, predictably, we're in the 80s. But we start getting little sprinklings now that something is amiss. And not just with the characters outside of Vision and Wanda, because we have a moment where Agnes comes in and she's offering to babysit the kids, and there's this weird sort of like, almost like blooper, where she's supposed to come in and look after the children, and then Vision steps in and interrupts because he's a protective father, and obviously Wanda wasn't expecting that. So what happens is Agnes is like, "Wait, you want me to go do that again?" Well, so we start getting we get moments very early on that the world is starting to kind of crumble a little bit. Wanda's no longer capable of doing what she was doing for the first 3 episodes, and Vision's starting to get to wisen up to her.
Well, that was it as well. That was the first, because we knew at this point that Wanda's basically controlling everybody in there, but we never really knew about Vision. This was the first inclination to me that Vision she can't control Vision, and he is.
Oh, as he says later on in the episode, can't control me like you do the others.
Yeah.
So
And
she can control him to some degree.
yeah, and that he is free thinking and aware now that something's not right because he steps in and she does all that. Do you want us to do it again? And the look on his face is like, what's she talking about? What?
Well, and he accuses her. He said, and this is the first little Easter egg thing that happens that I took note of the second time. He says to her, "I thought you and I were of one mind." Mind Stone. Because she's born out of the Mind Stone, he was born out of the Mind Stone.
Yeah.
So there was I like the play on words. Like to play on words there. There's a little bit of a hint at what might be going on.
It might have also been a point where she lost control of Vision, because when he says, "I thought we were of one mind," to start with, in the 50s and the 60s, she may have been controlling him, but now he's regaining some kind of his own individuality.
Well, there was always hints of that in the first few episodes. This is the first episode where he's really starting to become aware of it.
And even he's beginning to question, because I'm not going to jump to the end of the episode, but at the start of the episode, he's beginning to question his surroundings. So, so that bit was a bit jarring for me because I couldn't quite figure out what was going on. It was only, as I say, probably watch it a second time.
But it still feels like the things that were happening in the first three episodes, like when Wu was trying to talk to her over the radio.
Yeah, there's that.
And also what happens in the first episode when he's having dinner with his boss. We had those weird, awkward, what the hell's going on moments throughout the first few episodes, and we just had a lot more of those, starting with that opening sequence.
All right, let's keep moving on.
But you were the one talking.
All right, yeah. So then we have the kids, like, instantly aged to 10, which was...
No. The age to 5 first.
5 first, yeah. And I couldn't quite work out whether Agnes noticed, because she sat there drinking.
Oh, she's starting to notice all these things, yeah. She's becoming hyper.
Well, no, because Vision says no one notices that a kid's of age. Because Agnes sits on there.
But she is no. Vision doesn't realise anyone's noticed that. He's saying all sorts of things like that throughout the episode, including like, I thought we agreed no one would know about our powers, and Agnes is knowing about all of it, which making you think that she's using Agnes now for damage control. Because there's the bit later on with the dog kennel.
Yeah.
Because even that whole thing starts out at the beginning where Vision's like, "How did you know that we needed you?" And she's like, "Oh, are you kidding? I could hear it." Blah, 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 like sitcom stuff. But he's starting to realize, wait, no, that makes no sense. How did you know that we needed a babysitter?
And that was because Wanda was like, right, this is where I need a babysitter to come in, and I'm controlling Agnes and bring her in. So yeah, so they age to 5, and then we jump out of of the hex and get Kat Dennings. I forgot the agent's name, FBI.
Wu.
Wu, that's it, yeah.
Jimmy Wu.
And Rambo. And they're all discussing...
what happened?
Yeah. Now...
You wake up and you find out that all of the scans that they've given, like CT scans, are showing up nothing. Nothing's happening. Which is kind of an interesting thing. They just gloss over that. There's obviously something going on there, but makes you wonder, has Monica been changed? Just in the same way, because you find out later that her sword outfit had actually been molecularly changed at the molecular level to become the
bulletproof 70s clothes. Yeah. So we get. I'll let you tell me what you think of this next.
Well, before we move on, I'm trying to share this on our Facebook page because of our connection problems. I can't. Every time I open it up, it causes the connection to go down, and I can't get TRS Media Facebook page open
because you're eating bandwidth.
So I'm gonna just push the iPad away.
Well, we're on YouTube. That's.
So what did you ask me?
All right, yeah, I wanted to know your thoughts of now that when we flick back to the outside and we start seeing Monica, they then go for that briefing. And they in that briefing they literally say Wanda is basically now the enemy. They go through.
Well, you have the moment where the leader, the sword leader, what's his name?
stupid director, typical carbon copy,
cliche director
of organisation that wants to shoot first. And
he's obviously pointing and hinting at this whole idea. It's like, hey, she was a bad guy originally, right? She was fighting them, and then the good guy's like saying, well, no, but then she earned their trust and she joined them, but he's like, no, well, she blew up this building in Lagos. And, like blah blah blah,
which has a very good, nice throwback later on. But did you notice they made a point of mentioning her mother and father?
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
so you know where I'm going with that.
Yeah.
So they mentioned that they were from Sokovia to parents such and such and such.
I told you this when we were having theories about it.
Yeah,
you were telling me no, that's not. No, this was before I even saw this episode. We were having this discussion not so long ago when we were trying to talk about how we have videos where we did casting call videos where we were discussing how the characters of Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver will make it in to the MCU. I was suggesting, because you said, oh yeah, but they had parents though, and I was like, well, no, you never know. They could have been adopted. They
well, that's it though.
Might not know where the parents are from.
They mentioned their parents, and they mentioned that they were from Sokovia. The parents died and all that kind of stuff, and then they went through, and Wu even defends her. But the director is, again, cliche director. She's the enemy.
He's basically Thaddeus Ross.
Yeah, who's a cliche director of S.H.I.E.L.D.
But they couldn't get
couldn't afford what's his name, John Hurt.
John Hurt.
Yeah. So, what did you think of the whole? Because it was basically a exposition dump scene.
Well, we're kind of summing up our initial thoughts on it. So it was scene by scene, spoiling it. We'll get to all of what we've thought of things and theories.
All right,
and
carry on.
After that, I set us up for the first scene inside the hex. Then you broke down the scene outside the hex. Next, we're back into the hex
with the dog show.
But now, the kids they're still 5 years old, but they're hiding that they've got this puppy. And then Wanda finds out about the puppy because obviously she hears the noises. And before you know it, she's trying to teach them about responsibility and about looking out after another living thing.
Life form, yeah.
Now, she doesn't say looking after a dog is hard work. She says looking after another living thing, which is pretty much what we find out she's doing.
Where she's looking after a lot.
She's looking after thousands of living things. And Vision comes in, finds out, oh, we got a dog. And then out of nowhere, the kids, they shoot up another 5 years and they're 10 years old now. We also have another moment where things don't line up for Vision and he starts wondering what the hell's going on because Agnes comes in and he's like, well, yeah, you just showed up right on time with exactly what we needed.
And I was going to say, if you think about it in real life, if that happened, you'd be like, what?
Well, that's why I think after this episode, the whole sitcom setting for this series is actually kind of interesting. It's kind of cool. It really gives us a nice window into understanding how Vision might be aware that there is a real world, but he's also in this fake world.
That's what I'm thinking as we go on from this point forward. Now is the reality she's built is going to start crumbling.
Of course.
Yeah. So, because obviously Vision is like, you can't do it till 10, and then when they aged himself, he gets angry at that.
Mm-hmm. But I also think though that it's pointing toward the fact that the kids are 100% real too, and she can't control them either. Because if she could control them, she would keep them. She would. Yeah, she would. They're doing things independent of her, is what I'm saying.
So, are we thinking?
But they are kids as well. They're kids. They're innocent kids. They don't know what.
Are we thinking that she's created the kids out of energy in the universe? Because Vision and her won't be able to have human kids.
I don't know what you mean by that, because are you asking me if it's possible for you to create matter and mass in the universe?
No, what I'm saying is, do you think she's kidnapped two babies?
No, they're hers. They're hers. No, they're hers and they're Vision's.
Right. Okay. All right.
Because presumably off screen these two are
but
like,
somehow
nasties together.
Somehow I don't think Vision has synthetic sperm.
What, you don't think he's like Data?
No, I think he's probably like Data, and he's also like probably fully functional and trained in multiple techniques, but he hasn't got biological DNA to fertilize an egg.
Oh, okay. So I know what you're saying. Yes, she's using her powers to create the.
Yeah, she's taken energy.
She's used her powers to create. No, she's used her powers to create the children. Mm-hmm. You're getting too in depth about that. I think
because then they're technically not Vision's kids.
They might be if the whole idea, like I say, about them being connected through the Mind Stone, essentially.
Yeah.
Because I have this theory, and it's probably a normal theory, that the stones actually aren't destroyed. Thanos may have destroyed the housing that the stones were in, but we know that the stones basically make reality.
Well, yeah, the ether, the reality stone, was liquid before Thanos turned it into a stone.
Yeah. So even though he destroyed the physical incarnation of the stones that still exist. Because if you want to...
The space stone was contained inside a Tesseract.
Yeah, we're talking about superhero magic here, but like, if realistically, once he destroyed the stones, anyone involved with those stones would have died. So she would have died. She'd be dead.
Yeah.
Captain Marvel would be dead.
Oh yeah, let's keep.
But this is important to that though. But yeah, we were supposed to wait until we summed up the episode before we got into discussing what we think is happening. But that it's hard to do with a TV show like this because the show is designed.
A lot of questions.
It's designed to be like this. I mean, it's in the text. It's so on the nose. All the like that one episode where I think it's episode 4, the first time we see outside what's going on, where they're like putting up all the on the whiteboard and stuff, putting up all of the theories, like what's happening, who's doing this. It's kind of a wink towards
theory crafting.
Well, towards the prominence of discussion and what we're doing right here, this live discussion on social media and on the internet. It's there's a line at the very end of this episode which is super on the nose. There's essentially Darcy, Wu, all the people outside watching the show. They're us. They're the audience. And they're not even like trying to be subtle about it.
Okay, so then we get into Rambo figures out that her 70s clothes were actually the clothes that she went in with, just transformed to look like the 70s because they're now bulletproof flares.
Yeah, we also have some exposition. Well, not necessarily exposition, but like a little discussion banter between them about how Thanos, she could have taken Thanos out by herself, and then they're like, yeah, but so could Captain Marvel.
And then Rambo looks really like...
Well, yeah, because she is anti-Carol.
Yeah, but she looks like disgusted, like, I don't want to talk about her kind of thing. It's not like she looks at it with reverence.
I don't think it was disgust.
Like,
I think it was more of sadness.
See, I didn't get that. I got it was like...
interpretation.
He mentions Captain Marvel and she's just like, don't talk about that. Not like, because I can't remember from Captain Marvel the last time they see each other. Because she sees her as a child, and she helps her pick her new
the colours,
and then she fucks off for 20 years.
Yeah, to go do what she's got to do.
So I'm wondering if there's a bit of feeling there from Rambo that her auntie who she loved fucked off,
or maybe the cancer that Maria got was a result of being
Captain Marvel,
being close to Captain Marvel, or going into space or something. So maybe she blames Carol. But here we go. We're getting carried away.
Again, though, that's the feeling I got from her, that her character had some ill feeling towards Captain Marvel when he mentioned it. And
well, nonetheless, that was more of just more scenes to kind of like build up this tension between Wu, Darcy, and Monica, and the lead and the
cliche,
the leader,
cliche man.
We'll call him Mr. Cliche.
Mr. Cliche,
because I can't get anything up to help us because we're having problems.
He is. Let's just call him Mr. Cliche because he is such a cliche. So then they come up with a plan.
I just call him Sword Leader, so anybody watching knows who we're talking about.
Sword Cliche Leader.
Yeah.
Then.
Well, yeah. So what you were saying about the figuring out the clothes?
She realizes that something from that era can pass in because obviously the drone passed and turned into a 1950s toy helicopter. So she's thinking, we want to send something through into the Hex, but we don't want it to be changed by Wanda's reality. We'll send an 80s drone. So they do. And this is where we get down to Mr. Cliche. So she flies it in. She finds Wanda. She talks to her over a microphone and that she just wants to help. Wanda's eyes do the old red that she's about to use her powers, and Cliche, director of Sword, says open fire. That's the one part I didn't like. I'm like, hang on, guys. You set in the previous set piece, you basically said she's powerful enough to defeat Thanos, but dickhead cliche sword director says shoot a missile at her. What did you think was going to happen?
Well, it's a cliche.
That's why when we come on to the next scene, which was your favourite scene, I wish she'd have done something to him. Like blipped him out of existence and then walked off.
Well, I mean, she does point all the guns at him.
Yeah.
But that was mostly just so...
Anyway, let's go on to that scene, because that was your favourite scene.
Well, it's absolutely fantastic, because it's almost like a climax of that's why I considered this kind of like an act 2. It's almost a climax of this episode. It's the revelation that, yep, that's Scarlet Witch. That's the bad guy, Brotherhood of Mutants, evil bad guy, Scarlet Witch, right there. She's completely in control. She's coming out. She's telling them how it is. She's facing off with the good guys, and I absolutely love it. And I love the fact that Elizabeth Olsen, you can tell, just like with most actors, loves playing the bad guy.
Yeah. So my thoughts on that scene were, it was a good scene. It was nice to see Scarlet Witch's...
Your thoughts? It's a good scene? It's a good scene? Is it a good scene? All scenes are a good scene?
No, some scenes are bad scenes. It was nice to see Scarlet Witch's accent come back, which wasn't there for the last few Avengers movies.
Which she's... Yeah, no, but maybe she was doing that for peer pressure. It's the same reason that I have a little bit of a weird accent. When I'm around my friends, I speak with a Canadian accent.
To me, honestly, if she can't do an accent, just let her drop it.
No, but I think it's to indicate that she's... It's symbolic. It's to show that she's
pissed.
She's fallen back to her. No, she's fallen back to her bad guy self.
Yeah.
Because the last time we saw her as a bad guy, which is very brief, is in Age of Ultron.
Yeah, and she has that.
And they don't beat around the bush.
No.
They very much make her and Quicksilver into good guys
very quickly.
Yeah, very quickly. So
Quicksilver very quickly.
So it's. I bet you didn't see that coming.
So she comes out. She's dragging the drone. Obviously, the missile's done jack shit.
Yeah, is this yours?
Except to piss her off.
Yeah.
Rambo goes in to try and make peace that she wants to help.
She's saying, she's like, I know you, because I forgot to mention this, but in the second scene of the episode where we find out what happened to Monica after the fact, we find out that it's actually horrible and painful for these people what she's doing to them. And that also, I missed the scene too, because that's Vision is at work and he gets some sort of message from Sword, which it's not directed at him. It's just the Commodore 64 picked it up.
And
he's also an
electronic.
So I'm sorry to have to gish gallop and go back here, but there's some important stuff we missed there. All the language he's using, like when the guy says, "Is like, can this get me a date?" and he says,
"Yeah."
Eventually it will, meaning that Vision's aware of the present.
Yeah, because he
also says, he's like, "Here, I've got an envelope opener," and he says, "Oh, we won't need that." Oh, and he's like, "Oh, this is an electronic mail," and he says, "Actually, it's called an email." So that whole scene right there of him at work in the office is showing that he's aware of the present.
And well, it's more that his memory is not 100% intact. He's aware of stuff because he says later on,
well, he's aware of the present.
I can't remember anything.
Yeah, aware of the present is what I'm saying.
And then they have that scene where
he remembered everything. I'm saying he's aware of the present.
He takes the guy out of Wanda's control.
It takes him out of the illusion.
And the guy tells him he's in pain and he's
like, "Oh, where's my sister? Where's my phone? I gotta call my family."
And he starts freaking out, and then he quickly puts him back in. Now that's another indication, I think, to Vision that what Wanda's doing is wrong. Because I'm thinking, as this episode's going along, Vision is getting more off of one mind that they were, and he's now getting more onto the "what you're doing is wrong" page.
You could also make the connection that he's slowly becoming sentient. Let's say at first, when she began this, because we don't know how it happened, and there's even a moment later where you think maybe she isn't aware of how this happened, but we also get a clip
where she goes and steals
his body, so she must have been somewhat aware, but he is essentially starting to become a self-aware android again.
He's piecing it all together as we are.
But what I'm saying is, it's not so much that he's piecing it together, because that's obvious. What I'm trying to say is that I don't think he was really alive at first. She was basically using him like
a puppet. Yeah, his dead body,
a sex doll.
Yeah,
and he's actually though starting to finally become sentient again,
back to being what he was like.
That's why it's hard for her to control him properly, like control him like she controls everybody else.
Yeah, and that's why he has that freak out.
Mm-hmm.
that he doesn't remember anything before
anyways,
Westview.
So now that we've we've gone over the things we forgot,
Now
back to her confrontation with them. So Monica tries to plead with her and say, "Look, I know this was awful for me and whatnot, but you trust me. You know, you knew I was there and you knew I could help you deliver your babies. You know I'm an ally." That's the word she uses.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of okay, she's not completely bad. And throughout the rest of the episode, we do get little moments where where the show is trying to say, yeah, it's maybe she isn't all bad.
Yeah, I don't think she's doing this for like nefarious means, like to hurt people.
That's
or
a theory. You don't know right now. Pull up, yes. Yeah, you don't know what she's doing right now because
zoom me in. Fucking, we can't cut a break on this shit, can we?
It's okay. Nobody's watching today.
I gotta bring the ISO down, man. We can't get a fucking break. All right, continue.
You should be able to zoom in using that fucking program because you're not zoomed in enough. Movie magic.
Yeah. Whoa!
Extreme close up.
All right, that's good enough.
Good enough. That's the motto of our channel.
It's good enough for government work. Awesome.
Yeah. So I was talking.
Where were we?
I was talking about how she. Well, actually, no. Sorry, you were trying to say how you don't think that she's a 100%.
No,
but again, at this point, it's not about that. That's just theory crafting. We don't know. All we know is what happens in the episode. In the episode, she's incredibly cognizant about what she's doing. She comes out and she has a villain against the good guys moment. That's not ambiguous at all. The only ambiguity comes through in the next scene. Well, actually, we get the ambiguity from Monica, but once she goes back in. She now speaks. She. Well, no, actually, no. We don't get to the confrontation with Vision first. She finds out that the dog's died. Agnes brings it to her, and this is the first, like the concrete moment where I realized that she can't control the kids. Because the kids obviously get sad that the dog had died,
and they're about to age themselves,
and they're about to age themselves, and she interprets that as they're doing it to run away from your feelings. It's kind of
what she's done.
Actually, it's exactly what she's done. But as people who have experienced loss in life, it's actually quite an important theme because it's true. Like when you're dealing with grief, you can run away from it for so long without actually confronting it. So that you eventually turn around and be like, "Holy crap! I've been dealing with this for so long. 5 years has gone." And
the bit I liked about that scene was when she's trying to tell them as what we think is a dutiful mother that you can't cheat death, you can't bring her back. When they're saying, "Mummy, bring her back," because the kids know she has the powers to bring them back, and it just came across as complete hypocrisy because she's telling them that you can't do exactly what she's just done. She's brought Vision back to life. So she could bring the dog back if she was running by her own standards.
Has she brought Vision back to life, though, in her mind? Because if what I was saying about how, for her, it's just a fantasy, but all of a sudden, slowly...
I think she's really brought him back to life.
No. Does she know that she's brought him back to life? Because what I said is that he wasn't sentient at first. To her, he was just a puppet. That she was using to live out a fantasy, and he's now starting to become more sentient. So is she aware that she's brought him back to life?
At that point, maybe not, because, but by the end of the episode,
remember, she brings someone else back to life. Yes. We haven't got to that bit yet. And she's incredibly shocked about that too. So the point I'm trying to make is that when she's talking to her children, she's fully aware that she can't control them. They're her children. They're real, and so she is trying to be the mother in that moment. And she is being a hypocrite. I'm not denying that. But I don't think she's aware at this point, not until what happens in a few minutes, that Vision is actually becoming self-aware again.
And this is why I don't think she's being completely bad guy evil. I think she's reacting out of pure.
Well, no, but the best villains have real motivations.
Yeah, all villains think what the Thanos thought
she's not.
Was right.
But she's not a moustache twirling.
But I also think a lot of her actions are grief driven. and that's what's caused this. I think she's had
Doesn't make it right.
No, but it's also it's kind of stuff. If she's had a mental break because of Vision's
There's
death,
many examples of villains who are behaving the way they are because of grief.
yeah, but that's something out of their control. It's not like they're
No,
like
not necessarily. What you do with your grief is 100% in your control. If you choose to, like Marco Naros, for instance, like he is dealing with what his people have had to suffer through and what he had to suffer through by killing billions of people. And Naomi says to him, and she says to Philip, "You did not. You didn't have to do that. You made the choice to become a murderer."
Yeah.
Right now, Wanda is making the choice to enslave and violate people.
But we also know from personal experiences that when you are grieving, you're not thinking straight. You're not have clarity, man.
Bingo, there you are.
That's why when you see how she cares for her kids, she's not gone full tilt evil. So she's not like Thanos evil, even though Thanos has a perfectly plausible explanation in his mind for doing the snap.
I'll use another comparison. Cersei Lannister.
Mm-hmm.
She's complete evil, horrible, unforgiving
but would
asshole.
do anything for her kids.
But she loves her children. She's a good mother. Well, not necessarily a good mother, but she does love her children.
Yeah. So that I like that scene because that was another scene which added more of Vision being aware that something's not, because at the moment I don't think he realizes what's going on 100%, but he's kind of got that feeling that what's going on is wrong. And as the episode went more and more, I think his thinking of that got more and more. So his
thinking of that has got more and more.
Yeah. So hang on.
Wait, no. Try to explain that again better.
To start off with, he thinks something's not right, and as the episode goes on, he becomes more and more convinced that what's going on is not right. And that's when we get to the part of the episode where they basically have their first Barney, and she says to him, "You've never talked to me like that before." And Vision loses his shit.
He'd been having moments like that throughout the series to this point. It's just it was getting more and more.
Yeah.
It was just that in this episode there was so many instances of him of experiencing things that weren't normal and were completely weird.
Yeah.
Because when we get to that bit when they have their fight, that's where he says before they get into the fight, he says, "You can't control me like you control them." Again, showing that he's aware that something's going on.
And he also lets her know that he knows what she's doing to everybody, but they're real people.
Him finding out that he knows this doesn't happen like explicitly. It's only it's like he's making these connections, and us as the viewers have to just kind of imagine what's going through his head by his actions. And so when he finally does confront her at the end, he's saying things that you obviously would think to yourself, well, how does he know that? How does he know this? How does he know that? Because he'd never once before explained that he's scared. He doesn't remember anything about his life. All these things are signs to me that he's just become sentient again out of nowhere.
Yeah, he's got more and more sense. So maybe she brought him back to life physically to start off with.
Was he a robot?
Yeah, and as this series has gone on,
synthezoid.
His consciousness has slowly come back, and she didn't anticipate that because she says to him, "You've never spoke to me like this before."
Yeah. Well, but maybe meaning though throughout this whole fantasy, we don't know how long she's been doing this.
And she's been doing it since the end of Endgame.
Yeah.
We know that for sure because we know she broke in and stole his body, and she didn't come back until the battle of destroying Thanos. So
it's really weird though, because at what point between her conversation with Clint on the side of the lake to breaking into Sword headquarters, at what point did she really lose her shit? She obviously didn't take what Clint said to heart.
No, and that might be just some overlook that the script writers. And normally,
they're gonna tell the story because they've kind of been telling the story in reverse.
Well, we know from the footage that we've seen that Sword dissected Vision's body.
That was pretty gruesome. That
and she might have found that out because she might have thought, well, they took Vision because we hear about Vision's living will, and that she's gone against it. So,
and that his living will was that once he's dead consciously, that he does not want his body to be used.
No, he wants it. And then so that might be it. She might find out that his living will was destroy my body, don't want it to be used. And then she finds out that Sword's dissecting it, cutting him open to try and get the secrets. So she just fucking loses it.
And that's what I mean about how there's no ambiguity about what she's doing here. She's doing it all out of grief, but it's bad. The only way you can ultimately forgive her, you could sympathize, but the only way you could ultimately forgive her for behaving this way is if you find out that she, as Vision says to her, I want to think that you are not aware of what's going on here, that you were only aware just recently.
Yeah.
But she runs away from him and doesn't answer that though. So it's basically, and we know that she unless we find out that she's doing all this, there's some nefarious force going on, and she's doing all of this without realizing it. She is definitely a bit. She's a villain. She's Scarlet Witch. And they even have a moment in this episode where they kind of play at that, where you haven't actually given her. She doesn't have a superhero name or a nickname or anything yet. Nobody knows her in universe as Scarlet Witch.
Yeah, but we know why. Because when she was introduced, they didn't have access to the name.
But also, though, we have there's a reason. They're doing that for a purpose. Meaning, the name Scarlet Witch is going to come at some point
Maybe.
here. No, maybe. Come on, you know what happens at the end of this episode.
Yeah, so shall we move on to that?
Well, we still haven't really quite finished what's going on with the fight. So he basically exclaims to her that he's scared as well. So that's when she finally lets off on, because she's ready to throw down when he starts, because obviously she knows even if it's just his body, it's a powerful body. Like she can't because I think there's going to be an actual
Vision
Zod and Superman over Metropolis style fight between these two at some point. But anyway, so she calms down and lets off when he says to her that he's scared.
Great scene by Paul Bettany.
And again, you can have sympathy for what she's going through. And then
the best villains though are always sympathetic.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Like even Zod in The Man of Steel. Now Zod in Richard Donner is no sympathy at all. But the actual Zod in Man of Steel, there is a bit of sympathy to him because he's trying to save Krypton.
He's trying to save his Krypton, but he's also, though, that's kind of his purpose and what he was bred for. So there's a little bit of ambiguity there.
Dumb. He should have fucked off to Mars. It would have been so much easier.
Realistically, the best way of putting what you just said is that the best villains are complex villains.
Yeah, because
you don't have to necessarily be sympathetic.
I don't say
being sympathetic is just one complexity.
Yeah. We understand Thanos' motivations in Infinity War. It's explained so well that you actually kind of understand what the Mad Titan's going on about, and that the universe cannot sustain its population. We've got to get it down by half.
But he's also a megalomaniac.
And we're going to do it randomly. We're not going to pick. We're not going to let the rich people get. We're just going to do it fucking random. So
but he's a megalomaniac. Yeah, he does assign himself the one who's responsible for
Judge,
that.
jury, and execution.
It's not his choice.
So then when they calm down and the doorbell rings, this is what I.
Well, hold on. Before the doorbell rings, he makes a really poignant observation. He asks, because it's again everything in the show is done for a purpose.
Yeah, he asks.
He's like, why are there no children in Westview? And she's like, there are. What are you talking about? It's like, every time I go to work, I walk past the playground. There's no children.
No one there.
Why is there no children? And then he gets down on his knees and he begs her. He's like, please tell me what's going on. And then the doorbell rings.
So this is the key point from the doorbell ring that I got. She hasn't done anything. So Wanda, from when this doorbell rings, anything after this scene, she has not done herself. Something else has happened to create what we get from this point on. Because she goes, listen, honestly, that wasn't me. She has no idea.
I argue, though, that that's just her subconsciously trying to say that she isn't 100% to blame for what's going on.
No, I think at that point she has no idea who's at the door.
Well, no, she doesn't consciously make that decision. Subconsciously, this thing's going on still.
So you think subconsciously she did what's going to happen?
I think subconsciously she resurrects her dead brother.
So you think she brings back Quicksilver?
Mm-hmm.
See,
but subconsciously.
See, I don't.
I think that's why he's been a kind of a predominant feature in the show so far.
So, and this is why I'm going to say why I don't think.
Well, hold on. But the first time is mentioned is when she wisens onto Geraldine.
Yeah.
But that's immediately and quite cleverly glossed over, where she turns around and says, "Who are you? Why are you here? How do you know that name? How do you know about Ultron and all that lot?" And it's clever because now we've forgotten the whole her. Because why does she talk about her brother? Because she says I was a twin once after she's had the twins. So there's obviously something going on there. The second time is outside when Darcy's talking to Wu about two Avengers in Westview. We hear again. We get name drops about Quicksilver quite a little bit through this. Even in this episode, the two kids ask her. No. They're just talking to her about how family's forever and all this, and they're
where's your brother?
They're asking as little kids, 5-year-olds, for her to explain, and so she tells them that I have a brother. And they ask her where he is, and she says, "Well, he's very far away, and because I can't see him, it makes me sad." So he's obviously a main theme throughout the series so far.
So obviously the doorbell rings. She says it's not him, not her, and you can see Vision doesn't believe her. It rings again, and she reiterates, "That's not me." They go answer the door. We get a shot from behind of Quicksilver. And then the camera pans around, and it's not Aaron Taylor Johnson. It's the Quicksilver from the Fox universe. Now, you said you didn't like this.
No, it's not. Okay. Don't put words in my mouth. Hold on, let me get his name. Quicksilver actor, X-Men.
Did it jar? Was it jarring? It was
jarring. Evan Peters.
It was jarring for me, but not in a bad way. It was a oh shit moment for me.
So when I saw it, first of all, I actually was expecting
Aaron Taylor Johnson.
No, I wasn't expecting Quicksilver.
Who were you expecting?
I was expecting. Well, so all throughout the episode, there's been hints of other characters.
They were mentioning the Avengers a lot. Yeah.
They mentioned the Avengers quite a bit. They mentioned Carol Danvers. Yeah. They also Rambo says, "Oh, I know somebody, an aerospace engineer," and I'm like, "Who's that? Who could that be?" And so I thought maybe someone from the Avengers was going to show up. Maybe Clint was going to show up.
We discussed it before I watched.
But then when I saw the grey hair, I was like, "Oh, it's an old person."
No, I instantly knew it was Quicksilver.
No, and I was like, "Is it Magneto?" And then it pans around and it's fucking Evan Peters as Quicksilver, and I was like, "What?"
So,
hold on, that was just the end of my reaction. It's like, what? Okay, so obviously they're doing the smart thing from a studio perspective, and they're just bringing in the best thing about those horrible movies post Days of Future Past, and they're bringing Evan Peters in to just play the role. I'm like, okay, they've recast him, and they're very wise and smart about it. People love this guy in this role, and it's a good way to utilize the assets that they've now acquired in Fox. But then when there's a whole bunch of shit going on at the sword base, like there's sirens alarms going on. And Darcy does a double take and sees on the screen that Quicksilver's shown up. And Darcy pretty much looks at the camera and winks, says,
"Oh,
she recast Pietro," and that's where I started to think, So no, don't do that. Don't like that's Deadpool's job. Like that's not your job. You don't get to break the fourth wall.
Okay, so my take on this, just quick take, and then we'll discuss the scene. I don't think she's brought back Quicksilver. I don't think she's fully in control of what's going on. I think somebody else behind the scenes is manipulating Wanda to create what's going on. That's my whole thought of this.
And that's a very, very good assumption.
So
a safe assumption, as Edie would say.
Yeah, so she hears the doorbell. She has no idea who it is. She tells Vision, "That wasn't me." She opens the door. And before she went to open the door, we discussed before we watched it, I goes, the best person to send in would be Clint. It's the only real Avenger that she's got a connection to. She had the connection with him in Age of Ultron, and she had the connection with him at the end, obviously still had the connection with him at the end of Endgame, like you just said. So we suggested that would be, especially as they're doing a Hawkeye show, we know that Jeremy Renner is, or is it a movie they're doing?
No, it's a TV series.
Yeah, so they obviously have Jeremy Renner signed to a TV deal that he could show up. So that's what I thought that's who when Rambo's talking about sending somebody in. I thought that, like you, they're going to send in an Avenger, somebody she knows, somebody she trusts. And then it shows the camera from behind. I instantly knew it was Quicksilver. What I didn't expect, I expected Aaron Taylor-Johnson. Because, for two reasons. If they were going to take her down an evil route, we didn't know much about Aaron Taylor-Johnson's Quicksilver. He could so easily go down.
She's not evil.
No, but what I'm saying is if she's going to go down...
We've discussed this ad nauseum throughout the stream.
Okay.
She's the villain now.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. If they're going to take her down the villain route, we don't know much about Aaron Taylor-Johnson's Quicksilver, that he could so easily be turned into a villain with her, and there'd be a partnership villain. And then her and her brother would be back together again.
I did call that she would resurrect, that Quicksilver would be resurrected before the show began. But just saying.
Now that it's Evan Peters, I believe that this is where reality has been warped, and the Fox X-Men universe has now been drawn in by Wanda Maximoff into the MCU. And I agree with you, they're going to cherry pick the good aspects of that franchise.
They should have done it, though, without winking at the camera. They really should, because to me... you're saying reality is distorting, right, and all this stuff. I can get behind that. We're gonna have a Doctor Strange movie, which is all about the multiverse and all this stuff.
Spider-Man 3 is supposed to be about the Spider-Verse.
We know from Endgame that universes are like splintering. But what this is unilaterally doing, in my mind, though, is saying that movies, like from our perspective, movies are like the multiverse. I don't like that. Well, movies and TVs are the multiverse because, so she recognizes him when she opens the door and sees him. She gives him a hug, so she recognizes him. So to me, from a recasting standpoint, that's basically like he's just been recast.
Yeah, I 100%.
And so she recognized him, and like it's just like, hey, look, no, we're just bringing him in because he's a great actor and he's really good in the role. But like to turn around and say something like, oh no, movie universes are like a multiverse is just a little bit too much for me. Like, where do they stop at that point? Do they like? Can we eventually have Star Wars crossovers with Marvel? Oh shit, I talked about Star Wars.
Ding.
Can we get like Star Trek and Doctor Who going to cross over? This is too much for me.
Let me.
I might be a fucking old.
Let me give you the take on this, right? So, I think Marvel understand that Fox universe had some good aspects. The Quicksilver especially was one of them. We've talked about it in our casting call last week. If we could have it,
those videos did not age well, eh?
But we talked about it in that podcast. If we could have our perfect casting for the MCU's for the MCU's Michael Fassbender, for the MCU's Magneto, we want Michael Fassbender. What happened tonight in this show means we can have Michael Fassbender.
No, we can anyway. What happened in the show tonight just meant that the producers, the producers are just like 100% down with it and don't give a shit about reason, rationality. They're just like, it's just fucking
the only thing I didn't like about that scene is the bit you point. I didn't think we needed the wink to the audience that she recast him. Now,
it does fall in line though with what I was saying earlier about this series as a whole. How Darcy, Wu, and those guys are essentially the audience, and they're an allegory for people on the internet always theorizing and talking about what could possibly be happening.
That's why I think she's in the script. It probably looked like a good thing to say because she's watching a TV show. So she's like, because Darcy doesn't know who that guy played Quicksilver, or that was Quicksilver in another universe.
Yeah, so that's even stupider now. Like,
and that's why that little.
Did Darcy see the X-Men Days of Future Past? Is that what that's saying?
Yeah. So to me, that line from Darcy was not needed. What was needed was
it felt a little bit Blazing Saddles, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, they could have got rid of that.
Like, it wouldn't surprise me if all of a sudden, like, a bunch of cowboys broke down a wall and started a fight, and a cowboy fight erupted into the.
Now I want to go into why I think Wanda's being manipulated.
Well, we've summarized the episode, so let's go into talking about what we think's happening.
So the fact that they brought Evan Peters, and he's a loved character from the Fox universe, they're not going to turn him evil. I don't think. I think it'd be a bad thing to turn that Quicksilver evil. So
they even had like like when in a sitcom when like the side character walks in and the audience claps and goes,
yeah,
it's like. That's what's so cringy about it, because it's like they know that's how most of the people watching that scene are going to react.
But that's how it was in those sitcoms.
Yeah.
So like perfect example, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
It's every time genius and stupid at the same time.
Every time Jazzy Jeff walked in, that's how they reacted.
It's like that Honest Trailers for Pacific Rim. It's like so awesome,
yet so dumb. So, but this is why I think she's been manipulated, because she didn't know Pietro's come back, and she looked shocked. They brought back the good Quicksilver. Like I said, they could have turned Aaron Taylor Johnson's Quicksilver kept him, because he literally just flipped and then died straight away, so he could still go evil. Because they brought this Quicksilver in, I think she's been manipulated, and somebody else, maybe Doctor Strange, has brought this Quicksilver to her universe to try and bring her down. Because, like you say, there's something's happened. Wanda didn't bring back Quicksilver. Something happened to bring back Quicksilver, and that's what all the alarms were going off.
So I will say that yeah, sure, it's a possibility. I'm not gonna
shut up.
I'm not gonna argue against that.
Yeah,
I will say another possibility though. Just as to say, it's like, I'm not, just to clarify that I'm not being like, you're wrong, I'm right. That's not what I'm thinking.
We're both wrong, Marvel are right.
Yeah, exactly. This is just theory crafting. Another possibility is that she's unaware of these things. Because that's kind of what I was getting and have been getting for the most part through this show, is that because he even says it to her, I want to believe that you're not fully aware of what you're doing here. I want to believe that too as the viewer.
No, I think she's 100% aware, because when she comes out and talks
no, stop. She's 100% aware of what she's doing, but there's a part of her that's doing things that's completely subconscious and out of her control.
So you mean she might have had a personality split, and there's a side of her consciousness that's creating this, and then there's a side that's living the...
How do I explain this? So, it's so hard to explain. Because we're live, I'm on the spot, and my brain can't work as fast. But so let's say that she's all the things that she's aware of, we're aware of that she's doing, right?
Yeah.
But as she's doing them, there's things happening as well at the same time that she's not aware of. Like when she was thinking heavily about Peter, for instance, and talking about it and reminiscing about
her subconscious.
What did she do with the butterflies earlier? Did I do that?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, she's talking about butterflies and whatnot, and she does like a poof action and all, and the butterflies become alive, and she's like, oh, did I do that? So there's little hints right there that she's doing things without being aware of it, but there's a lot she is aware of.
Yeah.
So that's just I'm just saying that's just another possibility. Hey, it could be a little bit of both. Whoever's manipulating her could be like responsible, knows that, hey, look, I can take advantage of her with her grief, so we're going to give her the opportunity and the chance to go ahead and try to run away from her grief. And while that's happening, now I've accessed her mind and I can do all this and do all.
Well, that's it. We have no idea.
So there's a possibility of both. I'm just saying, like, there's so many. That's what's so good about this episode. I wasn't so sure about this show up until this point. I was enjoying it. I was actually kind of finding it funny as a comedy, to be honest, as a sitcom. But like as this episode came through, it really is.
Well, that's just it.
Good quality Marvel Cinematic Universe shit.
Out of all the upcoming stuff, we know what Black Widow's about. We don't know what Doctor Strange is about. We know a little bit about Love and Thunder. We don't know anything about Doctor Strange, the Eternals. So this series is obviously intrinsically tied into the fabric, woven into the fabric of the MCU. And it's obviously what's going to happen in this episode is going to manipulate the MCU for Phase 4.
Mm-hmm. And you know what? They've definitely set us up for a situation where we can't wait until what happens next week.
Well, yeah, because let's go on to the possibilities of Marvel have decided we've got the characters from Fox. Some of it worked, some of it didn't. Who are we going to take? They're definitely going to take Fassbender if that's their concern, because Fassbender.
Well, definitely, you can't say that.
Well, no, but I'm saying if you look at the things that were good out of that, No offense to Sophie Turner, we talked about this. She wasn't a good Jean Grey.
I didn't like the kid who played Scott either.
No,
there's a lot
Ty Sheridan wasn't a good.
I don't really want to see any more James McAvoy Professor X, to be honest.
See now,
and also if you're talking about continuity and opportunity here, Hugh Jackman is Wolverine in those movies.
Yeah,
maybe they're just gonna fucking hey Hugh, just keep working out.
I got Ryan Reynolds said he would do anything possible to have Wolverine in his Deadpool movie.
Are you now taking me seriously now after what I was telling you though about the Scarlet Witch? This is the Brotherhood of Mutant Scarlet Witch.
No, now that I see this, 100%. This is why I think we'll find by the end of WandaVision, her father was Magneto, and this 100% says to me that by the end of WandaVision, mutants will be in the MCU, hands down.
By the end of WandaVision,
yes,
yeah.
And
they already are.
Well,
unless it's just a simple recasting, which after the wink at the camera from Darcy, I don't think it is. I think after tonight's episode,
and the way he acts when he comes in, he's acting like Quicksilver.
What did I say? Like, how were the X-Men created? How were the mutants created?
By Wanda.
No, well, not necessarily. I didn't say Wanda, but it's looking more like that's the reason. But just the whole events of the Infinity War, of Avengers 3 and 4, have resulted in the creation of mutants.
I was thinking about how this was going to happen, and then I thought, how do we get this to fit into our timeline? WandaVision started in the 50s, arbitrarily.
Arbitrarily?
Yeah.
Arbitrarily,
yeah. Started in the 50s.
This is like the blooper reel shit that
which would be a perfect time when she started a show in the 50s. She changed the reality of the 1950s, and mutants have always been with us now. So we could come out of WandaVision. Remember how we said, wouldn't it be weird, but it seemed like lazy writing that if after WandaVision mutants have always been here and we just have to accept it? That's the way I think we're going to go.
I don't think it'd be weird.
There'll be no explanation.
To me, I always thought it was a good opportunity to just be like,
they're there.
Mutants were always in hiding.
Yeah.
And even in the movie First Class, that's how it's kind of portrayed. That
in the shadows.
When Oliver Platt finds out, and the people around the board meeting table, whatnot,
never knew.
And Jennifer Lawrence reveals herself. Everyone's like, "Holy crap!"
Well, that's just it.
That's what probably is going to happen.
We said in our theory crafting episode that mutants have always been here, and that the snap may have brought a second string of mutants. I don't think that'll be the case now. I think we'll find that the fact that I think what will come out is that we'll find out that the reason why Wanda and Pietro were picked by S.H.I.E.L.D. is because Hydra, because Hydra knew they were mutants, and all the Mind Stone did was amplify. They were probably weaker mutants, because remember from Last Stand, there's several different classes of mutants. There's mutants with really strong powers. There's ones that turn into porcupines, but there are different standards of mutants. And Wanda and Pietro, when Hydra got them, were the lower class, and then they were infused with Infinity Stone power, and it made them way more powerful. And then that way they'll just explain that mutants have always been around. Those were just the two that they abused and used their situation to radicalize and experiment on.
Here's an interesting thing.
It's better be interesting now.
So that episode was the 80s sitcom.
Yeah.
What was the last X-Men that we had? Was it the 90s?
2000. Yes, there was. No.
Oh, okay.
No. So the 80s was Apocalypse, and Dark Phoenix was the 90s, yeah. But the first time we meet Quicksilver is Days of Future Past, which is the 70s.
Yeah, so this Quicksilver is like 50 years old already.
But then again, they could.
That's why he's got grey hair.
Yeah,
Quicksilver has grey hair.
No, what we say is whatever's going on with Wanda, she ripped that Quicksilver out
of the silver screen,
out of his reality.
See, this is why I kind of find it weird, and I really hope they somehow make me like the decision, because to me, I don't like this whole idea that acknowledging that movies are their own
multiverses
universe.
So that means
movies are just entertainment for us. That's weird.
Right, I'm gonna go.
Have you ever seen that cartoon of of all of the fictional characters all fighting each other in like an arena?
No,
I've got to show you that. That's what it makes me think of.
I'm just gonna bring up rumors from Spider-Man 3. is that it's going to be the Spider-Verse, and it's going to have Tobey Maguire in it and Andrew Garfield. If that's the case, then movies are other universes, because that's the Spider-Verse universe.
Also, what's it called? Jonah Jameson.
Yeah,
Jonah Jameson is already in this universe, though.
But that's it, though. This WandaVision is set before Spider-Man Homecoming 3.
What's his name?
J. Jonah Jameson.
No, the actor.
Oh shit. I can't remember.
See, when you know, because I know his name, you know his name, but when we're on fucking camera, it's always hard to.
But this is set before Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man Far From Home. So whatever Wanda has done, in fact, Michael, if I remember rightly, when Spider-Man swings in at the end there of Spider-Man Far From, this could be
J.K. Simmons. This
could be phenomenal writing by Marvel. So do you know when he comes swinging in at the end of Spider-Man Far From Home? He swings over Grand Central Station, and the Avengers building has gone. It's been replaced with a different building. It's not the Avengers building there, because the Avengers building is built on top of Grand Central Station. That end scene when he comes swinging in and meets Mary Jane, and J. Jonah Jameson comes up on the billboard in New York, that's not the Avengers building behind him. It's a different building. It might, because people said, oh, look at that, they put the Baxter building in. But why? No, see, Marvel are not stupid enough to miss out something as obvious as the Avengers building on top of Grand Central Station.
No, I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm just saying I don't like it. I don't like this.
We knew taking Fox.
I must admit,
smashing it into the MCU.
I didn't understand the love for that cartoon movie, the Into the Spider-Verse. I don't.
Oh, it's brilliant.
I don't get that whole multiverse love. So, as a science enthusiast, I do love the whole Hugh Everett interpretation of quantum mechanics and all that sort of shit. But just the way that they're going about doing this in the movie world, imagination is its own reality.
What's it called in the Spider-Verse movie? The old,
like I say, where will it end?
Well, but that's it. The old battered Spider-Man's supposed to be the Sam Raimi Spider-Man, and as I say, the rumors are that in Spider-Man 3, you've got Tobey Maguire. And
DC
Garfield.
did it, right? Didn't they? And it's been adapted in the TV series, the DC TV shows.
Yeah, the
CW.
You've got Earth 1 and Earth 367.
What's the comic series called? The
Crisis on Infinite.
Crisis of
that's
Infinite
what. So what happens in that one is what be happening here. So before that crossover episode, every single season there was a crossover with Green Arrow, Flash, Supergirl, and Legends of Tomorrow.
We're not even talking about WandaVision anymore.
Well, but this is how I see Marvel are going to do it. So what happens in Crisis on Infinite Earths is they save the day, but what happens is now I hope this doesn't happen in Marvel, because I think all universes are merged into one. So you've gone from millions of universes to one universe, and that's how because Supergirl is not in the Flash's universe. The Flash gets her by breaking the multiverse barrier by running at speed. But now Supergirl lives in Flash's.
So this is my issue. So, and this is where maybe it's just like I say, I'm too old to learn and to learn new concepts, maybe. But I saw a scene and it was fun. It was fun to watch. But I saw this clip on Facebook of the CW Flash and Ezra Miller's Flash.
Yeah, that's Crisis of Infinite Earths.
And I'm just like, okay,
it's brilliant.
Okay, it's fun. It's fun. It's cool to see two actors who are playing the same character. But science, in a real multiverse, if, let's say, for instance, there's now a multiverse where I decided to not take a sip from my drink.
Take a sip. That can won't turn into a can of Coke.
and I won't just turn into another person. I would still be me,
but that's just
me that made a different choice. Why is Barry Allen now Ezra Miller? Why is Brandon Routh
still Superman?
They're not. Are they the same people?
Yeah. So what happens is, because in that as well, Lex goes to Smallville, and Tom Welling is in that episode. as Clark Kent, but he's done what Superman or Christopher Reeve did in Superman 2, and he's relinquished his powers. So Lex basically is going around trying to kill Superman because he just hates Superman for some reason. So he goes to Tom Welling's universe with the Book of Destiny to kill Superman and finds out that he's not got the powers.
So let me get this straight. If you take the lens and filter of movie magic, right, and close your eyes and use your imagination, when the two different Supermans are on screen, they look the same. They're the same person. It's just because of the limitations of film, they're being played by two different actors. But like, what the characters in universe are seeing is they're seeing themselves.
No, in that 4-part Crisis of Infinite Earths, it's different people who. So Brandon Routh is Superman from Superman Returns,
and by extension, he's also by extension he's Christopher Reeve.
Yeah. But we know that from the movieverse.
Yes, okay, but are they just the same person by name and abilities only, or are they the same person?
They're the same person that have grown to look different.
So that's what I'm. But that's stupid. That's dumb. Am I like honestly, internet? Am I fucking losing my mind here? Because it's stupid. It's kind of stupid to me.
So you've got to look.
If you're supposed to just suspend your disbelief and just accept they're the same person, I like that. That's fine.
So this is the way I look at it. The best way to sum this up is you've got to look at this as Michael Keaton, Val Kilmer, George Clooney are all the same Batman. Different actors playing him, but they're all Bruce Wayne. In that universe. Because those 4 movies are set in one universe. And that Ben Affleck is the same character, but it's Ben Affleck playing him. When Batman is Batman, Quicksilver is Quicksilver, Superman is Superman, no matter who's playing him, he is Clark Kent.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
So in universe, when Ezra Miller sees, I don't know the guy who plays him in the show, when Ezra Miller sees him, he's seeing himself.
Gustin. Yes.
It's like looking in a mirror.
Yeah. And that's why they don't mention, hey, you look fucking different.
Okay.
Because here's why
this is why I didn't like that Darcy said the whole is she recast him?
Yeah,
that was a
stupid line. But we've agreed that's a stupid line. But this is the case. In The Flash, Barry Allen's dad is played by the Flash from the 90s series.
But you see, that's more of just a nice little wink. It's the same way. It's the same thing as having Tom Zarek played by the original Apollo in Battlestar.
But that's what I'm saying though. They don't make a point of it. And same as when Barry meets Barry, they don't say, "You're not the Flash." You look. They never say that. And when Superman meets Superman, they don't say that. And this is what, without that silly line from Darcy. Now, she might be saying that she recast him just because she's watching it as a TV show.
It might have been just a simple case of the Marvel Cinematic Universe writers just trying to be too funny.
Yeah. And if they're saying that, we can now...
Because that's what it came off as. It was supposed to be a joke. But it also, like I said, unilaterally confirmed the existence of movies being alternate realities.
It was a fourth wall break that had nothing to really to do with story. But what
fourth wall break and a fourth wall break.
Wow.
That's like
18 walls.
16 walls.
The thing is, though,
where the fuck did you learn math?
No, that's what I said it. The thing is, what it does, and this is what its genius.
How many 4s go into 18, Matthew?
Oh, I said it to fuck up.
Okay.
What it does allow us, though, and it allows Marvel to do it because they know that certain aspects of the Fox universe were successful, is to pick and choose. And that means our choice for our Magneto, we can now have.
Well, no, my choice is still Nikolai Costa-Waldau. I don't want Fassbender.
No, I'd have Fassbender any day. The guy was brilliant. He was the only good thing throughout that entire sequence.
The thing is, this has happened now, and we don't know what's going to happen, and this is all just conjecture. And the show has done this. Let's see what they do. So let's see where they go with it.
I just want to quickly ask you this then.
For fuck's sake.
Yeah. If you take my thing that Wanda's been manipulated, who do you because this might be a way of also bringing in the next big bad.
Well, I don't know. I've only Marvel comics I've ever read are X-Men, Daredevil, and a little bit of Spider-Man. So I don't know.
Yeah, but we know that the comics are a loose reference.
I have no idea who it could be. It's evil Tony Stark. I don't know. Brainiac. Is that a DC character?
That's a DC character. The closest I think to Brainiac.
Galactus.
No,
it's Galactus, and we're gonna have the.
He just eats planets.
Yeah, could you imagine if we ended up with Ewan Grufford's Mr. Fantastic and Chris Evans as Flaming Torch?
Chris Evans comes back as an older Human Torch.
Human Torch, yeah. Flaming Torch. All flaming torches are flaming torches.
Anyway, I think we've beat that.
Yeah,
to
let's just.
death. I want to go watch it again.
I kind of do too. Let's just. Let's move on. Let's get on to the next episode and reserve judgment, because other than that minor gripe, this was a fucking great episode, and I give it a 9 out of 10.
Yeah, I'd say that the wink wasn't
I don't
needed.
ever give anything a 10 out of 10.
I like the pacing of it, and I love the fact that Marvel did a kind of showed you something that was probably major, but then instantly made you look at something shiny. The alarm's going off when she sees that it's been recast. I believe that's something massive that we're going to find out for the next episode.
Oh, yeah, that's what I was saying
But
earlier.
that's what I mean. It was like, whoa, and then all of a
There was
sudden...
a lot of like, oh, something's going on, but hey, distraction.
Yeah, it was
There
brilliant.
was a lot of bait and switch and distraction going on.
So,
Yeah, I think that's where we'll finish up.
leave it.
What are you giving it? You giving it 9 out of 10 too?
I give it a 9.5 because it's just that one line that I just didn't like.
Holy crap, what TV shows are a 10 for you?
Every Battlestar Galactica.
Okay.
Or just Battlestar Galactica.
Then I'm going to readjust. This is an 8 out of 10 for me.
Why?
Because like if that's 9.5 out of 10 for you, then that's Emmy-worthy shit right there.
It was. It had everything.
Okay. All right. He's giving it a 9.5. He's giving it a 9.5.
Yeah.
I'm giving it an 8. Okay, I'll give it an 8.2.5678993 repeating. And if you guys agree with us, let us know in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And come back. We're going to be doing this on a weekly basis now.
Yeah, now we've got this.
Now that the expense is over, we're going to be doing WandaVision pretty much until the end of the series every Friday. And after
Do we know what's coming after that?
for Disney?
Yeah.
I have no idea. We'll
no, we do. Falcon Winter Soldier.
Oh, no, but I mean, like, immediately after it's done.
Oh, yeah.
We're not going to have any more live stream content for a little while unless we find
Christ, we
something
might
else
have
to
to
watch.
go out and get jobs. Please, YouTube, I don't want to go get another job.
But
Once
anyway,
COVID's done.
Anyway, until next time, thanks for watching.
Yep, thanks. See you later.
We're live, Matthew.
I got to stop the stream. We're not recording.
End card.
Oh, shit, yeah.